Now, on the subject of governance, just coming back to the World Economic Forum for a moment, the financial crisis exposed a severe lack of governance around the world. South Africa has grappled with this issue itself. What input does South Africa have as we rethink global governance?
Well, our input is that we really have to do the rethink seriously. And I'm very happy with the rethink, the reimagination, the innovation, etc. Because we have been saying the global setting has reached a point where global governance need to be changed, particularly the financial governance. As South Africa, we are very confident with our financial system that it is strong. It has withstood the test of the recession, so nobody could say we are just talking hot air about it. But we've been saying, for an example, the global financial institutions need to be changed, everything. So the rethink must look at very specific issues, and one of which should be, how do we change these institutions in terms of the representation, because they cannot continue as it has been in the past. Secondly, within its governance, the question of regulations and the manner in which decisions are taken. In other words, its functioning. Just to make this example more clearer, if you take the world body called the United Nations, which has the General Assembly, the majority of the world is there, but within it you have the Security Council. Whilst the body is there, looks representative, but the manner in which the final decisions are taken is a problem, because there are countries that have a veto. Now, even the financial institutions should not be operating in the manner that there are people, there are countries with bigger voice within, which is almost like an undeclared veto. So that change must be thoroughgoing, so that we can therefore balance the governance financially in the world. I think that time has come. That's why I'm very happy with the theme here, that improve the world, rethink, rebuild is very important. The question to this theme is, what do we mean by that in reality? What I've just said, to us, that is an issue. Whilst we are rethinking, we should not leave Africa out of the equation, because Africa has suffered. Africa has been lagging behind. Africa has always lagged behind. We believe that the change now must begin to put everybody into the basket.
Speaking of rethinking, President Zuma, do you think South Africa's labor laws need to be rethought, given that many economists sometimes blame those labor laws, those quite rigid labor laws, for the lack of jobs growth since liberation?
Well, I'm not certain about that, because we came from a different type of laws before that were very racist, that were very discriminatory. We had to solve that kind of problem, and I think it was important for us to do so. And of course, look at the South African economy, which in the manner in which was handled historically, created two economies. And the question of how do we bridge these two? How do we encourage the economy to become one economy so that we are in a better position to move forward? I don't think we have done. I know there's a debate about the labor laws in South Africa, but if you take into account some aspects of it, for an example, domestic workers were not recognized as workers, farm workers were not recognized as workers. Now, if the new administration since 1994 has actually put the workers who were otherwise cut off of the system, put them in the system, began to say, this is what we need to do. We do not think we've done a wrong thing. We believe we've been in a position to make every South African who is a worker to be, in a sense, recognized and to be part of it. And there may be issues that people are raising, but that talks to the nature of the South African economy, which is as a kind of a pyramid, which is very sharp at the top. And that has had something to do with how then do we relate to the labor laws as well.
Speaking of internal issues in South Africa, I know this is something you probably get asked a lot as well. It's the issue of the mining sector. What do you see the future for the mining sector? And on the issue of privatization, what is, or nationalization rather, what is the current government policy on that issue?
Well, we are looking at the mining industry in South Africa as a factor that is remaining to be a factor that will influence, as it has always done, the economy of South Africa. We are looking at innovation. How do we make it even more relevant and even more beneficial to the population of the country? And how do we balance the public and private sector with regard to the minings? On the issue of nationalization, that issue has not been an issue that has been discussed by government or by the ruling party. There are people who have raised the issue. It has not been discussed formally for us to take a decision about it. So it's not an issue that is being debated right now. But some people have made a point to say, look, we think nationalization is the route to go. But we are waiting for that discussion to come, because then we will all say, those who are saying so, they must motivate what is it that we think needs to be done in order to better the economy of the country, in order to make the population of the country benefit out of it, or the economy itself. So the matter has not been put for scrutiny, for the test in a debate, so to speak. It's an issue, therefore, that is being talked about in the media, in the main, rather than in formal structures.
Speaking of South Africa and the situation in the economy now, investment clearly suffered over the course of the financial crisis. It's obviously improved dramatically in sort of the preparation for the World Cup. I'd like to look beyond that, though. A lot of people are obviously asking you about the preparations. We know that we're really ready. Beyond 2010, though, I mean, people need to see South Africa as an investment destination, you know, after the World Cup ends. What are you doing in order to make sure that you promote the investment opportunities there? What message are you bringing here to Davos?
Of course, we are saying, firstly, South Africa has indicated that it is capable of facing challenges. One of them, of course, has been its preparedness to host the 2010 World Cup. And I don't think anyone doubts that. If there was any single thing that has marketed South Africa, is that one. Everyone is clear that South Africa is capable of rising to the occasion. But of course, the infrastructure that we have brought has brought in new economic activities. But precisely because we knew that we're dealing with this infrastructure, but also that South Africa itself needed the infrastructure to expand, because it was beginning to suffocate the economy.
Yes.
And therefore, that's why we've put aside $700 million. I mean, rands, not dollars, by the way. Rands, to roll out the infrastructure. That, to us, is a very significant element of investment that we need to bring. It also indicates that we are looking big in terms of what do we do after 2010. So we are ready. We are calling the investments to come in every sector.
On that note, President Zuma, I'd like to thank you very much for being our guest today live from the World Economic Forum in Davos. And